Today, we are going to crochet a shark. Let's make sure we have all our supplies and materials. We need a darker color yarn, a lighter color yarn. We need some black and some red. You'll need your crochet hook, some scissors, your embroidery needle, and your stitch marker. You will also need a pair of safety eyes. Let's go ahead and get started. Make sure you have your directions in front of you. And we're going to start with a magic ring. So around the pinky twice, back of the hand, over your index finger, and in between your middle finger and your thumb, kind of just make a little loop right there. Okay? And our directions say a magic ring with 6 single crochets. So I'm going to first make my magic ring. I put my crochet hook right through my magic ring. I just grab my working yarn and I pull it through and up. You have one loop on your hook. Yarn over, that's yarn over hook. Grab your yarn, pull that through your loop, and I kind of secure my magic ring, pulling those two apart. And then this is your magic ring. Congratulations. Round 1 is a magic ring with 6 single crochets. I'm going to make my single crochets. Remember, the loop on your hook is just about the size of the end of your hook. Okay? And through the center of your magic ring, yarn over, grab that yarn, pull it through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull that yarn through both loops on the hook. This is your first single crochet in your magic ring. Kind of pull that loop a little loose so it's much bigger than the end of your yarn needle. And we're going to grab your stitch marker, and your stitch marker is not going to go where your hook came from. Your stitch marker is going to go in your first stitch, and you should see that with the V right there. Okay, and I'm going to put my stitch marker under, make sure I can see that V. Okay, and now my stitch marker goes under both of those. Under, not through. I'm going to come this way. Okay. Stitch marker is in first single crochet of round 1. So there's 1 single crochet. I need to make 5 more. Through the center of my magic ring, yarn over, grab that working end of your yarn, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, grab your yarn, pull it through. That's 2 single crochets. Through your magic ring, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through both loops on your hook. That's 3. Here's 4. Give me some yarn. That's 4. Make sure I have 4. Stitch marker. Mark stitch 1, 2, 3, 4. Loop over my hook. Does not count as a stitch. I have 4 single crochets. 1 more. Yarn over. There's 5. Yarn over. There's 6. Now this was supposed to be a magic ring. How we make this into a magic ring is go ahead, take that off your left hand, pull your hook out, make your loop nice and large, set your hook down, and what I want you to do is in your right hand, grab your single crochets, grab the working end of your yarn like this, and you're going to see the left part of your magic ring over here, and you're going to see your tail, okay? In your left hand, I want you to grab your tail and kind of hold everything else with your right hand and pull that tail. And what it's going to do is cinch up that magic ring so it looks more closed. Okay? Now, hook in here. Make sure you have the right side of this loop towards you. If you can pull out your hook and you see that this extends, and when you pull on your working side of your yarn, it kind of closes in, cinches that loop up around your crochet hook, you know you're good to go. Okay? And now give me some yarn around my pinky, over my index finger. And this is the end of round 1. I have 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stitch marker is in 6. The first single crochet of the round. I'm ready for round 2. Directions say 6 increase stitches for a total of 12. I'm going to grab my stitch marker. I'm going to pull on my stitch marker just a little bit, okay? The reason why is I want to make this hole where my crochet hook has to go through a little bit bigger, and I want to make sure I know where it's at. So that kind of helps me identify it. Tail goes in the back. Let's get left hands ready around the pinky, over the index finger. Hold your project in your left hand, okay? And we need 6 increased stitches. So an increased stitch is 2 single crochets. So in that first 2 single crochets in the same stitch, so in that first stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet. My hook goes under both stitches, both loops of that stitch, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through, kind of tighten everything up. Grab your hook with your left hand. Notice where stitch 1 is. Identify stitch 1 with your stitch marker. Close that up. In stitch 1, I need a increased stitch. I have 1 single crochet. In that same stitch is a second single crochet. Yarn over, pull through, 1, 2 stitches in that first stitch. Okay, rotate my piece. Here's the second stitch of round 1. I'm going to do an increased stitch in that same stitch. Remember, an increased stitch is 2 single crochets. So hook goes through both, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. That's 1 single crochet. 2 single crochets in the same stitch is an increased stitch. There is my second increased stitch. 2 increased stitches is equal to 4 stitches. I should have 4 stitches from my stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 increased stitches. Increased stitch number 3 goes right here. There's the first single crochet. Here is the second single crochet in that stitch. In the next stitch, an increased stitch, which is 2 single crochets. There's the first single crochet. Here's the second single crochet in that same stitch. That is 4 increased stitches. I should have 8. Stitch marker is 1. There's 1. We're counting the V's. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Loop on the crochet hook doesn't count. I have 8 single crochets. That is 4 increased stitches. I need a total of 12 stitches total, 6 increased stitches, 2 single crochets in the same stitch. That is my 5th increased stitch of round 2. Stitch marker always identifies the first stitch of this round. I have 1 stitch in between where I'm at and the end of round 2. 2 stitches go in this last stitch for my 6th increase stitch. There's 1 single crochet, there's 2 single crochets. This is the end of round 2. Let me make sure I have a total of 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 stitches at the end of round 2. Tail goes in the back. Working yarn around the pinky twice over the index finger. I'm ready for round 3. Directions for round 3 say a single crochet and an increase, that pattern 6 times. So a single crochet and an single single crochet and an increase. Okay. Identify where my first stitch is going to go. Take that stitch marker out. Keep my eyes on that stitch. Hook goes under both. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That is a single crochet for the first stitch of round 3. Mark that with my stitch marker. Single crochet increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Now that pattern, single crochet increase 6 times, I just did it once. Stitch marker identifies stitch 1, that's the single crochet. 1, 2, 3. Loop on the hook does not count. Those are the 3 stitches for single crochet and increase. That pattern repeats 5 more times for a total of 6. In the next stitch is a single crochet. Rotate your piece. In the next stitch is an increase stitch, 2 single crochets in the same stitch. That pattern is now completed twice. In the next stitch is a single crochet. In the next stitch is an increase. Count my stitches so I know where I'm at. First stitch is a single, single, increase, single, increase, single, increase. Loop on the hook doesn't count. That's 3 of them. Single, increase, single, increase, single, increase. That's 3 times of that pattern. I need to do a total of 6. So next it's single, and then in the next stitch is an increase, which is 2 singles. In the next stitch is a single crochet, and then an increase. 2 in the same stitch. I have 2 stitches left. That is for my 6th time of the single and the increase. Here is the single. And in the last stitch before my stitch marker is an increase. That's 1, 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Let me count my stitches to make sure I have a total of 18 stitches at the end of round 3. I'm going to take my working yarn off my left hand. I'm going to pull my hook out, set my hook down. Okay. I'm going to bring the yarn to the front just to kind of help me count, keep that out of the way. Stitch marker always identifies the first stitch of the round. So we have stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. The loop does not count. 18 stitches at the end of round 3. That's exactly what I should have. Let's move on to round 4. Get my yarn around my left hand, over my index finger. My hook needs to go back into my piece. Which side? This is the one that's moving, goes towards me, hook in there, cinch that so the loop on my hook is just about the size of the end of my hook. Tighten that up. Stitch marker, identify stitch 1. I see where that first stitch is going to go. Round 4 says 2 single crochets and an increase. I repeat that pattern 6 times. 2 single crochets and an increase. In that first stitch is a single crochet. Let me mark that first stitch of round 4 with that single crochet. In the next stitch is a single crochet. In the next stitch is an increase, which is 2 single crochets in that same stitch. I have a single crochet, and an increase. That's 4 stitches. I repeat that pattern 6 times. Single, single, increase. I've done it once. Next stitch is a single crochet in the next stitch. In the next stitch is an increase. Increase is 2 single crochet in the same stitch. Pattern completed 2 times. Single crochet, increase. 2 singles in the same stitch. That's 3. Single, in the next stitch, single crochet, in the next stitch, increase, which is 2 singles in that same stitch. Single crochet, increase, that's 5. Single crochet, in the last stitch before the stitch marker is an increase, 2 single crochet in that same stitch. That's the end of round 4. Move on to round 5. Round 5 gets a little bit more complicated, okay? Round 5, 6 single crochets, 2 increased stitches, 10 single crochet, 2 increased stitches, 4 single crochet, for a total of 28 stitches. Identify where first stitch of round 5 is going to go. Keep your eye on it. In that goes the first single crochet. Hold your hook in your left hand. Identify where your stitch marker is going to go. Let's complete round 5. 6 single crochets. I've already done 1. In the next stitch, there's 2. Here's 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 single crochets. Let me make sure I have 6 single crochets. Now you're going to start noticing your piece is going to be turning. For a lot of people, it will turn this way, okay? This is actually the inside, okay? It's inside out. So I want you to put your finger on the back of the piece and kind of push it through, okay? So that it's pointing towards you and it kind of makes a bowl, okay? And you're working in that direction, okay? Here's stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 single crochets for round 5. I now have 2 increase stitches. Remember, 1 increase stitch is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So I'm going to have an increase stitch here and an increase stitch here. In these 2 stitches, I'm going to have a total of 4 stitches. 2 in the first one, 2 in the second one, 2 single crochets in the same stitch is an increase stitch. There's my first increase stitch. In the next stitch is 2 single crochets. That's my second increase stitch. 6 single crochets, 2 increase stitches for a total of 10 stitches. Okay. I now have 10 single crochet. Moving on. There's 1. In the next stitch, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 single crochets. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to count from my stitch marker. I want to make sure I've done and I have the correct number of stitches for my 6 singles, my 2 increase, and my 10 singles. I just want to make sure I have all the stitches that I need to have there. Okay? So from my stitch marker, I'm going to start counting stitches. There's stitch 1, single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Now I had 2 increase stitches. There's 1 increase. There's 2 increase stitches for a total of 4 stitches. That's 10 stitches so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I have 10 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Loop on the hook does not count. Okay? Let me get all set up again. After those 10 single crochets in round 5, I have 2 increase stitches. Remember, increase stitches are 2 single crochets in the same stitch. There's 1 single crochet. Here's 2 single crochet in that same stitch. In the next stitch is another increase stitch for that second increase stitch, following the directions. 2 single crochets in the same. My directions say 4 single crochet. I should have 4 empty stitches between where I'm at and my stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. In those 4 stitches are 4 single crochets to wrap up round 5. There's 2, 3, and 4. We have wrapped up round 5. Next, let's get ready for round 6. Okay, round 6. Round 6 is 7 single crochets, 2 increase stitches, 12 single crochet, 2 increase stitches, and 5 single crochet. That looks awfully similar, but a little bit different from round 5. Let's follow the directions for round 6. Identify where that first single crochet of round 6 is going to go. It's going to go in this stitch right here. Pull that stitch marker out. Your hook goes in that first stitch. Grab your hook, grab your stitch marker, identify that first stitch of round 6. Round 6, 7 single crochets. Here's my first one, there's 1. Here's 2. In the next stitch is 3. And then we have 4, 5, 6, 7 single crochets in round 6. Next is 2 increased stitches. Let me make sure I have 7 though, and that I've done all my single crochets correctly. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Loop on the hook doesn't count. I'm ready to go. Side of my working yarn is towards me. That's great. Now, after 7 single crochets, it is 2 increased stitches. I remember that an increased stitch is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. There is the first increase, and in the next is the second increase. After those 2 increases, I have 12 single crochets. Let's go. There's 1. Here's 2. And we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10, 11, and 12. After 12 single crochets, it is 2 increased stitches. Increase, 2 single crochet in that same stitch. There's 1. Second increase, 2 single crochet in that same stitch. After those 2 increased stitches, I have 5 single crochets. There's 1 and 2, 3, 4, and in the last stitch before the stitch marker is my 5th single crochet of round 6. Great. Stitch marker, ready for the first single crochet of round 7. Pull it out, needle through, make that first single crochet of round 7. Identify that first stitch with your stitch marker. There's 1. Round 7 is 32 single crochets. Since it's just 32 single crochets, I don't always count those out loud and keep track. I just kind of, since I know they're all single crochets, until I get to the stitch marker, I just go. Single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet in every single stitch all the way around. We're working in rounds. So I know I'm just going to go all the way to my stitch marker because I mark the first stitch and I work all the way around until I get to that stitch marker again. So I just keep going. Do I know how many? I don't. I'm kind of purposefully talking to distract me from the counting. And I'll show you what I do because I don't always like to count. I just kind of like to zone out when I crochet. And a lot of times the counting gets in the way of that zoning out. But that's always why you got to get used to counting your stitches and just being okay with that. And then when you have rounds like this, where it's just the same stitch in every single stitch of the round, you just keep going. I'll show you how we take care of that in the end. And I just keep going. I can see my stitch marker coming up here on my left. It's coming. It's not quite here, but it's coming. And I know that there are 32 stitches in this round, but I don't know where I'm at. I just know I gotta keep going until I get to my stitch marker. And hopefully I have the correct number of stitches when I get to my stitch marker. Oh no, how will you know how many stitches you have if you weren't counting? I have 1 stitch left. Okay, stitch marker marks the very next stitch. I'm done. So how many stitches do I have? Well, duh, let's count. Pull that out so we don't lose it. Crochet hook down, okay? Tail, take that inside so it kind of stays out of your way. Shape your piece, okay? Make it a bowl, okay? Now, stitch marker always identifies stitch 1 of the round. So we're going to start counting from the stitch marker, okay? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I lost where I was. Stitch marker marks 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Loop at the end does not count. I have 32 stitches in round 6. That's exactly what I should have. I'm ready. Sorry, 32 stitches for round 7. I am ready for round 8. Round 8 looks awfully similar to round 6, except instead of increased stitches, I see decreased stitches there, but that's okay. Where does my hook go? Let me see. Pull on this, and I see the one that is going away is this top one. Hook goes in here, so when I hold my hook, the one that extends is this side, the one that makes it shorter towards me. Get ready for round 8. Identify where the first single crochet of round 8 is going to go. Put that first single crochet in there. Grab your stitch marker. Identify the first stitch of round 8. 7 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 single crochets. Now it's a decrease stitch, and it's 2 decrease stitches. So let's do each of those decrease stitches one at a time. A decrease stitch is you are stitching 2 stitches together in 1 stitch. Okay, how we do that is we're going to be working in the front loop only. Okay, so here's the front loop, here's the back loop of the next stitch. Here's the front loop, here's the back loop of that next stitch. Okay, in those 2 front loops, this front loop and this front loop, our hook's going to go. Okay, so in the next stitch, through the front loop only, that's up through the bottom of that front loop, and you have 1 loop on your hook. In the next stitch, front loop only, your hook goes through there. You have 2 loops on your hook with that original, so a total of 3. You're going to yarn over, pull through both of those front loops. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through. That is your first decrease stitch. Okay? In the next 2 stitches, you're going to put 1 stitch. You're going to go through, front loop only, next stitch, front loop only. Yarn over, pull through both of those front loops. That's how you connect those 2 stitches into 1 stitch. Okay, that's 2 decrease stitches there. Now I have 12 single crochets. In the next stitch, single crochet, there's 1, here's 2, and then we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 single crochets at the middle of round 8, following the directions, 2 more decrease stitches. Remember, a decrease stitch is joining together 2 stitches but with the front loops only. So your hook goes under that first front loop, under that second front loop, so that you have both front loops on your hook, yarn over, pull your working end of your yarn through both front loops, yarn over, pull through both. That's your decrease stitch. Now, second decrease, front loop only, yarn over, pull through both front loops, yarn only, pull through, second decrease. Now, 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the very next stitch should be your stitch marker if all of your stitches of round 8 were done correctly. Now, at the end of round 8, we should have 28 stitches. Let's count and make sure we have all 28 of those stitches because we're going to cut our yarn here. So let's just make sure that we have 28 stitches at the end of round 8 because we had 32 at the end of round 7. And since we made some decrease stitches, we have fewer. Okay, so let's make sure we have the correct number of stitches. Let's get everything out of our way, starting with our stitch marker. This is stitch 1. Counting the V's. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 stitches at the end of round 8. My loop does not count. Next, directions say cut the yarn about 6 inches, and we're going to close with an invisible fasten and then switch to our lighter color yarn. 6 inches, I need about 4 more, cut there. Next, I'm going to stick my finger in here and pull that tail through. Okay. Next, I need to identify where my stitch marker is. I'm going to skip this stitch. Okay. Take my stitch marker out, set it down, put the end of my yarn through my yarn needle, my embroidery needle. And remember how I said we're going to skip that first stitch from round 8? Okay. In that second stitch, we're going to go under both loops of that second stitch from the front to the inside. Okay. Next, you're going to bring your needle up where this is coming out of that last stitch from round 8. Your needle is going to go in that same stitch, okay? And what you're going to create, I didn't go in it the correct way. Uh-oh. There we go. That's the way through there. Okay. What is... Okay. And then now what you're going to do is you're going to make that V that you created the same size as all of your other stitches. Okay? So that we're not really going to be able to tell. Okay? Now, because we can't tell, grab your stitch marker. We still have to have that stitch that we created. This is our first stitch of where round 9 is going to start. Okay? So, yarn needle still on your yarn. Okay? We need to secure this end of our tail. So, on the inside, kind of right where it came out, just go through a few stitches. We just need to secure this end, this tail. So I'm just going to go through a few stitches. Kind of go back and forth, just securing this tail so that it stays nice and tight. Okay, take your needle off, put your tails on the inside of your piece, and we are now ready for round 9. Stitch marker marks where that first stitch is going to go. Okay, we are going to switch to our lighter color yarn. Grab your lighter color yarn around your pinky, up over your index finger, make a loop, give yourself a little bit of a tail. Nope, that way is the correct one towards me. Okay, single crochet in where that stitch marker is. Go through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Notice how loose that is. Okay, I know. Your tail in here. Pull it kind of tight now. Okay, and pull this kind of tight. And you'll notice that that first stitch now kind of tightens up. Now remove your stitch marker. That first single crochet that you made right there, that is your first stitch of round 9. We need to identify that first stitch with our stitch marker. Okay. "28 single crochets. Just like with round 7, they are all single crochets. So I don't really count. I just make sure that I have single crochets in every stitch, and that all my stitches are kind of all about the same size, same tension with my hand. Single crochet after single crochet in every stitch. Single crochet, single crochet. I could count now if I wanted. Knowing the number that I have right now doesn't really help me because I don't know how many I'm supposed to have at this exact location in my piece. So I just keep going. Single crochet in every stitch. And you can kind of see how with crochet, once you get here and you're just going along, you kind of get in this meditative state where just everything tunes out and it's just one stitch after another. That's kind of what's cool about working on projects that's just the same stitch over and over again, or the same pattern over and over again. You just get in this muscle memory and you just focus, and then all of a sudden you get to that first stitch of round 9. Okay, and take it off my hand. I need to make sure I have 28 stitches. I like the nice bright lighter colors because it's easier to see those stitches and count the V's. Stitch marker identifies stitch 1. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Do I have one stitch? I do. Because it's where I attached my white. There we go, 28. I'm so glad I counted. Okay, that ends round 9, 28 stitches in round 9. Remove my stitch marker. Let me put a single crochet in that first stitch of round 10. Cinch that down. Grab that. Identify that first stitch of round 10. Cinch it up. Now let's fix my working yarn on my hand. And completing round 10. Round 10 is 6 single crochets, 2 decrease stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochets. Decrease is through the front loop only of the next 2 stitches. Front loop only of the next 2 stitches. There are my 2 decrease stitches. Now it is 10 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 decrease stitches, front loop only. There's 1 decrease, front loop only of the next 2. There's my second decrease stitch. Round 10 says I end with 4 single crochet. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets at the end of round 10. Great. Round 10, I have 24 stitches. Let me count those to make sure I have 24 stitches at the end of round 10. Stitch marker is stitch 1. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Loop does not count. I have 24 stitches at the end of round 10. I'm ready for round 11. Okay, before we get started with round 11, let's kind of get familiar with our creation, what we're making here. Okay, this is a shark, and you'll notice that it's not necessarily round, but it's more of an oval. Remember those increased stitches, those 2 increased stitches and those 2 decreased stitches that we had in rounds 5 and 6, and then in 8 and 10? Okay, those increased stitches kind of made these 2 ends, and then the decreased stitches are kind of bringing it back around. So one of these is going to be the nose of our shark, and the other end is going to be the tail. And we'll identify which one of those it'll be once we get there, because that we're going to add our eyes after round 11. Okay, so just as we're finishing up round 11, I wanted to kind of, as we're finishing round 11, I kind of wanted you to kind of get to know what this is turning into in your hands. Okay, so grab your hook in the loop, pull it tight, make sure that's the one that's the side closest to you. I'm good to go. Okay, stitch marker identifies the first stitch of round 11. Okay, so let me take my stitch marker out. Let me get my working yarn ready around my pinky, over my index finger, single crochet in that first stitch of round 11. Grab my stitch marker, mark that first stitch of round 11. That's a single crochet. In round 11, I have 2 single crochets and a decrease. And it's that pattern 6 times. So here's my first single crochet. And then I have the second single crochet. And then it's a decrease. So 2 singles and a decrease. The decrease, remember, is front loop only of 2 stitches. Yarn over, pull through both front loops, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through both. You should have 3 stitches, 2 singles and a decrease. Okay? It's that pattern 6 times. Single, single, decrease. Decrease front loop only of the next 2 stitches. Complete that decrease stitch. Single, single, decrease. I completed that pattern 3 times. Single, single, decrease 4 times. Single, single, decrease 5 times. Single, single, decrease, front loops of the last 2 stitches. That's my 6th decrease of round 11. That finishes up round 11, stitch marker. I'm ready for round 12. But before round 12, I see in my directions that I have to add eyes. Okay, so again, working yarn off your left hand. Pull your hook off. Okay, give yourself a nice big loop to save everything. Okay, and now you'll start to see more of your shark. Okay, you're like, I see the front, I see the tail. Maybe not turn it around the other way. I see the front, I see the tail. Whatever one you see. Okay, this is your shark. How do you want to see your shark? Okay, and I think this is going to be my tail. This is going to be my head. Okay, my nose. So I'm going to grab one of my safety eyes, and I want my first eye to be just above the color change. And you'll see that in your stitches, there's like little holes. Just kind of pop one safety eye right there. And then look at your shark from the side and go, okay, yeah, that looks like it's a pretty good placement for the eye. Then you're going to turn it around to the other side and you're going to go, oh no, where does the eye go? So we're going to kind of see what we got here. Okay. Point your nose up, look at the top of your shark's head, and then kind of go, where does that look most centered? And kind of look here and go, okay, I think maybe here, and kind of pop it in. And then you're going to look and it's going to go, okay, oh, maybe not. Maybe. Look at it from the front. Oh, I think I'm good. I am 1, 2, 3 holes back from the tip of the nose. Over here, I am 1, 2, 3 back from the tip of the nose. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. So then you're going to look on the inside of your shark and you're going to see those 2 posts. You're going to grab the back of your safety eyes, okay, these things here, and you're just going to put that right over the post, kind of secure it down. Grab the other one over the other post and kind of secure that down. Look at your safety eyes and go, aha, I like. I'm ready to move on to round 12. Put your hook in the loop, secure it down, pull that working yarn. Make sure the one that's constricting this loop is the side closest to you. It is. Working yarn over your left hand. Let's get ready for round 12. Identify that first single crochet for the location for that first single crochet of round 12. Make that single crochet. Put that stitch marker in. And let's read the directions for round 12. Round 12 says single crochet, decrease that pattern 6 times. So I just did my first single crochet. Next is a decrease. 2 front loops, joined, 2 front loops joined together in a single stitch. That is my first 2 stitches of round 12. It is a single crochet and a decrease. Front loop only, front loop only. There's 2 times. Single crochet, and a decrease, single crochet, and a decrease, single crochet, and a decrease, single crochet, and a decrease in the last 2 stitches. That's round 12. Next, my directions say stuff with fluff. Working yarn off your hand, extend that loop, pull your crochet hook out, grab your fluff. Okay? I probably have too much fluff here. Okay? I'm going to pull some of my fluff apart. Okay? And I'm just going to pull it apart. I'm going to make it real fluffy. Not real dense. Okay? Nice and fluffy. Okay? And then you're going to take the opening of your shark and you're just going to start stuffing with fluff. Okay? Stuff with fluff. Now, because your shark is long, has a pointed nose and a pointed tail, you kind of want to make sure that you are stuffing with fluff in those areas. Okay? You don't want to overstuff your shark though, because you don't want to make it an oval. Okay? And now I'm stuffed with fluff. I think I'm good. Let me pull my stitch marker out because I stuffed my stitch marker in there as well. I have round 13 left. I'm just making sure all of my fluff is stuffed inside. And I am ready for round 13. Round 13 is 6 decrease stitches. Let me get my hook ready. Let me get my yarn wrapped around my hand. Now, because we start with a decrease stitch in round 13, I need to complete that decrease stitch. So I don't just put a single crochet at the beginning of round 13. I need to complete that decrease stitch. So front loop only, yarn over, complete that decrease stitch. That's the first stitch of round 13. Identify that first stitch. It wasn't a single crochet, it was a decrease. Okay. Next, 5 more decrease stitches. Okay. Front loop only, front loop only. There's my second decrease stitch. Front loop only, front loop only. There's my third decrease stitch. Front loop only, front loop only. There's my fourth decrease stitch. Front loop only, front loop only. There's 5 decrease. Both of those front loops complete that decrease stitch. Okay. And now pull your yarn, you pull your hook out, take the tail of your yarn, cut it about 6 inches. Okay. Pull it through. Pull your stitch marker out. We completed our 6 decrease stitches of round 13. Thread your embroidery needle with the tail of your white yarn. Okay, now we're gonna close up our piece, okay, with an invisible fasten. What you're gonna do is through the front loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. through the 6 front loops only. Just like with our decrease stitches, front loop only, front loop only. There's 2. Here's 3. Front loop only. You don't have to cinch it tight just yet. Okay? Front loop only. Now that we've done 6, now pull tight, and you'll notice your shark belly button is buttoning up. Okay? And now we need to secure the tail of our yarn in our piece. So what we're going to do is weave it in and out the belly of our shark. In and out. After you're in and out 4 or 5 times or so, kind of go in one last time. Bring it out across the other side. Still pull it out of in the white. Okay? Pull the tail through. Take your embroidery needle off, and you're going to have a tail. Okay? And what I want you to do is kind of take that tail, take the end of your embroidery needle, and kind of just stuff that tail on the inside of your shark. Okay? And look at that. Next, we have our dorsal fin that we'll put up here. Our 2 pectoral fins we'll do on the side. We'll add our tail, and then we'll finish up our piece with our gills and mouth. Add a little bit of blood. Okay? Want to get ready for our dorsal fin? So let's go back to your darker color yarn. Okay? And with your darker color yarn, what I want you to do is you're going to attach it. This is the magic ring where we started at the top of your shark, that little hole right there. This is your magic ring where we started. We're going to attach our darker yarn behind our magic ring. Okay? So, around the pinky twice, over the index finger. I make a little loop. My hook is going to go in this stitch on the back of the magic ring. Okay? Right here. Okay? Grab that loop and pull it through where it just was. Okay? And let's make a slip stitch. Grab the working end, pull it through, grab the tail, pull it nice and tight, give yourself a slip stitch right there. Okay? Now that we have our yarn attached behind our magic ring, okay, with a slip stitch, directions now say chain 3. Chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. Next is a slip stitch in the second stitch from the hook. First stitch where the loop is coming out on my hook, that stitch is 1. We don't go in there. We do a slip stitch in the second. Okay? Pull through, that's a slip stitch. Okay? Next is a double crochet in the same stitch as the chain 3. That's where we attach down here, a double crochet. Double crochet, yarn over first. Okay? We are eyes to the left. Okay? Gonna go in that same stitch where we did the chain 3, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook now. The original one, the yarn over before we went through, okay? Grabbing our working yarn, we grab that one, yarn over again, pull through the first 2 loops, pull it up. You should have 2 loops on your hook now. Yarn over, pull through both of those. That's a double crochet, okay? Next, we're going to do a half double crochet and a single crochet in the next stitch. Well, the next stitch is going to be in front of the magic ring, okay? So eyes to the left. Here's behind the magic ring. In front of the magic ring is where we're going to call the next stitch. Okay. So, half double crochet. Don't put my hook in there yet. Half double crochet, yarn over, and then go through that stitch. Yarn over, pull through. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3. That's a half double crochet. Okay. We just did a half double crochet in that same hook. We're now going to do a single crochet. You can see how the half double crochet got us to lift that up a bit. And you can see where your hook's going to go now. So we do a single crochet in that same hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both, extend, pull your hook out. Okay. Grab your scissors, cut your yarn, pull the tail through. This is your dorsal fin. Your dorsal fin now has 2 tails, and it doesn't really look like a wonderful dorsal fin. Well, we're going to fix that now, okay? Because this tail, I need to secure. Well, when I secure this tail, watch what happens. Look, I secure this tail down into my shark, and all of a sudden, there is my dorsal fin, okay? So let's thread the tail through your embroidery needle, okay? And you notice that it looked best when I tightened it right down to the front of that magic ring. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, is I'm going to put my needle in right there, and I'm going to pull it out, the stitch right near it, okay? Nice and tight, and I'm going to make sure that looks great. And yeah, I think that looks great. So let me continue to weave in and out, just securing this tail in my shark. Okay. Once I've gone through 3, 4, 5 times, however I wish, pull it out. Grabbed another tail and pulled it through as well. And stuff that tail in the shark. We now have the back tail to take care of. We'll do that one next. Now I'm going to insert my yarn needle in first. Because my tail is kind of short, and then I do the same thing, weave in and out a bit, back and forth, just so that that tail gets nice and secure. I'm going to go in one more time. Out the blue, tails inside, dorsal fin complete. I'm ready to move on to my pectoral fins. Great job, you guys. Okay, let's get ready for our pectoral fins. We're going to make 2 of them on each side of our shark. Pinky over the index finger. Give yourself a loop, somewhat of a tail, and your crochet hook is going to come behind your eye. we're working on the left-hand side of our shark, and we're going to work right where the color changes, okay? And what I want you to do is put your hook right in here, okay? Just like that. Grab that loop, grab that loop, pull it through, give yourself a slip stitch, pull the tail nice and tight, make that loop a little bit smaller, working hand, ready to go, leave the tail going up, we're good, okay? We have it attached to the middle, and now we're going to chain 3. There's chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. Next is a half double crochet in that same stitch. Half double crochet, yarn over, in that same stitch, yarn over. I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's a half double crochet. Now it's a half double crochet and a single crochet in the next stitch. So half double crochet through the stitch, yarn over, pull through, there's 3, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, single crochet in that same stitch, single crochet, yarn over, pull through, let go, tighter, cut 6 inches, pull the tail through. There's your pectoral fin. Just like with the dorsal fin, we're going to secure it. Bring that dorsal fin down to the body, okay? Or sorry, bring that pectoral fin down to the body, okay? Grab your embroidery needle, thread the tail of your yarn. We're in the front of our pectoral fin, and I'm going to go in right under that same stitch, and I'm going to take it to the back of the shark, come up right above my pectoral fin, and I'm going to say, yep, that's exactly how I want it to be. And I'm going to just weave in and out, tightening that tail, securing that tail so it's not all loosey-goosey and can come out. Once I feel it's secure enough, pass it all the way through, bring it out, stuff that tail back in the hole where it came out of. Okay. And if you're really careful, you're going in between stitches, not through them. Okay. Fix the dorsal fin. There's the pectoral fin. Put that needle right close where you want it to go. And I'm going to bring it out and go in, kind of to help me secure that tail. Bring it all the way through. Shape that pectoral fin. Stuff it back in. First pectoral fin done. Now we're going to move over to the right side, and we're going to turn our shark upside down now. Okay? And you kind of want to center your fins. Okay? Working yarn around your hand. Make that loop. Hold it in your left hand. Okay? And we got to kind of, where is it going to go? Okay? And we're going to start back here. Okay? So it's going to go in right here. Okay? Towards the eye. grab that loop, pull it through, secure it with a slip knot, pull the tail so it's tight, bring the tail out of the way, set up your working yarn around your left hand, and pectoral fin, after it's attached, chain 3. 1, 2, chain 3. I don't have the right side towards me. There we go. Okay. Chain 3. Next, it's a half double crochet in that same stitch that was the chain 3. So yarn over in that same stitch. Oops. Did not. In that same stitch, yarn over, pull through. There's 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay. My tail got pulled out of the white. I'll fix that in a bit. So half double crochet in the same stitch. Next, it's a half double crochet in the next stitch. Pull it through, yarn over, pull it through, single crochet in that same stitch. Pull it out, cut a tail, pull the tail through. Okay? Now, this white one, I need to grab that tail because I grabbed it. And I need to secure that tail in my piece. So let me weave my needle in and out. I'm going to grab that white one that I pulled through, weave it in and out, pull it through. Okay. And now it's tucked in and away. Okay. The first tail that I worked with, I'm going to work with that one next. And let me thread it in my yarn needle, my embroidery needle, and I'm going to go right here in the blue, weave it in and around the blue, securing it nice and tight. Nice and tight. Oh, almost slipped through. Back and forth in my shark. Once I feel it's nice and secure, tuck that tail in. Okay. Now, front of my pectoral fin. Needs to clean up how it looks. So I'm going to bring it in nice and tight. Take it to the back side. Pull it through. And you'll see how already it kind of cleaned up that pectoral fin. Let me make sure they are even. They are even with my eyes. That's wonderful. Now I can weave that in and around my piece. Once I feel it's secure, Tuck it in. Okay. Shark body, dorsal fin, 2 pectoral fins. I'm ready for the tail. The tail says I'm continuing to stay with my darker yarn. We're going to attach it to the back end and chain 3, just like we've done with our dorsal fin and our pectoral fins. Okay, in the back of the shark, we're going to work up the tail of the shark. Okay, here's the eyes, here's that left pectoral fin, here's the dorsal. Okay, we're going to start in the back, far back of the shark. I go just under, so in that white stitch right at the color change. That's where I'm going to attach this yarn. Okay. There we go. Hook, pull it through. Slip stitch. Oops. Save that slip stitch. There we go. Wrong side again. Pull that, tighten that slip stitch. Okay. Underside, sorry, highlight. We are working up the tail end of the shark. So I attached, there it is. Okay, closest to me, there we go. Okay, secure my yarn around my left hand, and there's my slip stitch. I attached it, now chain 3, there's 1, there's 2, here's 3. Okay, slip stitch in the second loop from the hook. There's the first, here's the second, slip stitch in the second stitch from the hook. Okay, now I do a half double crochet in the same stitch. Yarn over in the same stitch. Okay, remember we're going up the back just like this. Yarn over, pull through. I messed up. I grabbed my tail. Yarn over, through, grab it, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. That is my half double crochet in the same. Next, I do a single crochet in the next stitch up the shark. So now I'm doing in the blue, I do a single crochet through both. Okay. Next, it is chain 2, chain 1, chain 2, slip stitch in the second stitch. So that first chain is a slip stitch. Okay. Now I do a half double crochet and a single crochet in that same stitch I just did the single crochet. Okay. Half, yarn over, pull through, there's 3, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then I end with a single crochet in that same stitch. Pull your hook out, grab your scissors, cut your tail so it's about 6 inches long. Okay, we're now going to shape our tail. Okay, finishing up the tail, we got to kind of shape the tail, kind of get it going like, oh, okay, that's exactly what I want. And I like it. I'm going to go ahead, grab this tail, and I'm going to start weaving my needle in and out my piece. Leave the eye of my needle out so I can thread it. Pushing it through. Grab the point of my needle. It's good. Tuck that tail in. Bottom tail of the yarn is secure. Now I need to secure the top. And I see that, when I secure that to the top of my shark, I really like the tail of that shark. So let's thread that yarn through. We need to attach it real close to the base of the tail of the shark. Nice and tight. Exactly what I'm looking for. Weave that in. Secure this yarn. Nice and tight. Bring it through. All the way through my shark. Stuff the end of that yarn tail in. And we are so close to done. Tail, fins. What's left is the gills and mouth. Let's go ahead and get started with those. We are going to start with the gills. We don't need our hook anymore. We don't need our stitch marker. We're really just going to need our embroidery needle and our black yarn for now. Okay? Thread that through. And we're going to do our gills first. Okay? And you can choose to either have 2 or 3 gills, whatever you want. Okay? Now, you're going to put your needle in through the back of your shark, okay, in one of those open spaces, and you're going to bring it through, and you're going to go right to either above your pectoral fin, okay? You're going to pull it through. You're going to leave yourself a tail of about that long outside the back of your shark, okay? And then you're going to now bring this up 2 stitches in, over to the left 1 stitch, bring it through. There's your first gill. We're now going to come down, over to the left, pull it through. There's your second gill. Up, all the way through your shark, above your eye, coming out right here, okay? Pull it through, set your needle down. There's your 3 gills, okay? Over on the right side, down to the left, a stitch, up, in, over to the left, 1, down, all the way through, out the same stitch where we started, okay? And you now have 2 tails there, okay? You have the 3 gills on the left side. You have the 3 gills on the right side. It looks like I pulled that last gill a little tight, so I'm going to put my yarn needle in there, loosen that stitch up a bit, okay? And now my 3 gills look more even, okay? Now I'm going to come over here, and all I'm going to do is knot these 2 ends of the yarn, okay? Little knot, little knot. Grab your scissors, cut those. They don't need to be that long at all. You secured it with a knot. Tuck that knot into your shark. There's your gills. Next, we have our mouth. Black yarn. Thread that through your embroidery needle. Okay. Left hand side of your shark again we're on. Needle through the back. And let's go right in between the blue and the white. Okay, right at the color change. And we're going to go to the front of the shark, and we're going to go come out right at the pectoral fin in that first stitch. Okay? You're going to pull it through. Leave yourself a tail about that long. Okay? About that long. And you're just going to drape this around the mouth of your shark. We're creating the mouth of our shark. You're going to go in right before the pectoral fin on the right side. You're going to bring your needle out where we went in. Okay? This is your mouth. Now with your mouth, you don't want to secure it too tight. Okay? But just like with the gills, not the ends of the tail. Cut the tails if they're too long. Okay? Grab your embroidery needle. Tuck that knot on the inside of the shark fur to hide it. Here's the mouth. All we have left is a little splash of blood. Let's give our shark a little bit of drama. This is going to be even quicker. I don't know why I pulled that all the way through, but I did. Okay? And same place where we went in. Okay? And then bring it out the front of your shark, just off to the side is where I would do it. Okay? And bring that red through. Okay? Leave yourself a short tail back there to knot. Okay? And now we're going to go above the mouth and in that stitch. Out down here where we came out before. Pull that through. Secure that. Okay? Now, is that enough blood for you? Do you want a little bit more? In the same stitch. Bring it out our shark where we entered. Secure that down. Shape it. And then, that's the amount of drama that I like for my shark. Just a little hint of blood. Ha 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 ha. Okay? Yarn needle off. Secure these ends with a with a knot. Tighten that down. Cut those two tails off to the side. Grab your needle one last time. Poke that knot to the inside of your shark. Shape everything. Look at that shark that you just crocheted. Great work. I love it.